There she is, where I made my big introduction to the world. For a time, this was the only place that I knew, the only place that I thought existed. Although I was young enough that I probably wasn't worrying about existing and being and life and really any of that. All I knew was I had just left the comfort of the womb and the world had opened. Sometimes when I think back about how I was born, it makes me consider the idea of born this way. Now, Lady Gaga had her album come out a couple of years ago that's talked about being born a particular way and really kind of using it as a defense for herself to be able to be herself. And she's not the only one that has used this. Many other people have talked about being born this way, whether it's a certain characteristic of their life or maybe where they grew up, their background, why they're doing what they are right now. There can be some good things about saying that I was born this way, but there can be some bad things as well. When we start to think about how we live out of that attitude of being born this way, we can start to make excuses for ourselves. We can start to say, well, I'm just going to do this because it's natural for me. It's normal for me. Now, I don't know about Lady Gaga, but I don't think that she was really born the way that she is. I think she was born very much in the same way that I was. I was born in the natural way, came out kicking and screaming, covered in placenta, and I had a nice fleshy rope coming out of my stomach. That's how I was born. But I didn't stay there, and we can't stay there. So we come to places like this. This is St. Mary's Parish in Winona. This is where I was born again. This is the place of my baptism. And it's always wonderful to come here for a visit, to remember how not only was I born and given life, but I was given new life through water and the Holy Spirit when I was baptized here. But even that is not enough. Because when we focus on being born a particular way or even being reborn through baptism, we're looking backwards. We're not looking at what still has to come. Ultimately, it's heaven. And so if we focus too much on being born this way, then what's going to happen is we're just looking backwards even though we're trying to move forwards. And what happens? We trip, we stumble, we lose our way. But if we keep focused on heaven, then life will change. Now, certainly when we're born, there might be some very difficult, some characteristics of ourselves that really define who we are. Take Queen Elsa, for example. She was born with a curse, and she was able to make ice out of nothing. And for a while, that seemed good, that seemed fun. But soon, she felt that that was something that had to be concealed. Don't feel, conceal. That became her mantra. And eventually, in order to be able to live out her life, she just thought, you know what, I'm going to leave everyone behind. Everyone will be better off this way. But were they? Of course not. Because she was abandoning those whom she loved. She ran away hoping, expecting that they would be safe. But she really just made life more difficult for them. When we face different characteristics in our own lives, when we face challenges that are posed to us, when we think about how we are born a particular way, we always have to keep in mind what is our end, what is our goal, and how are we going to use those different characteristics, use those different parts of our lives for good, and not only our good, but the good of others as well. Yes, we all were born a particular way, but we can't stay there. Jesus invites us to continue to move forward with Him. Jesus enters into our lives, so we don't have to stay the way that we were born. We don't have to stay like babies, but we can become sons and daughters, children of God.